Okay, shut the TV off back there, please. Okay. I know it's crowded, but hopefully you can all hear in the back. If you want to move forward where you can hear better, appreciate it. Is that?
I believe, gentlemen, would you mind shutting down the video game for me, please?
There's a sign up. There's a sign up sheet going around. Please sign in if you would. We're going to start off the meeting tonight with a safety minute, and what I want to talk about safety tonight is horseplay on the job. We probably have more needless injuries. They're all needless in the business, but we have one of our main source of injuries is people goofing off on the job, whether it be in fun or whether it be intentional, whatever. People causing someone else to get hurt. A lot of times it's, here, catch this, and someone slips or lands on their foot or something. So horseplay has no place on a project like this or any other project. So I ask you folks, please don't fool around. Have a good time out there at the expense of someone else or yourself. All right, let's get to the reason we called the meeting tonight. I have a letter from the Department of Air Force. It is from Donald Illich, the contracting officer for the AFCAP program. The letter says, in accordance with federal acquisition regulations, option to extend the term of the contract, you are hereby notified that the government intends to exercise the first option for Task Order 403, which is this contract. The option period is 12 May 2011 to 11 May 2012. This is the letter we've been waiting for.
Contract's been extended.
And you really ought to give yourself a hand, because it certainly has been your performance on the job. When I talked to the colonel about this today, and I talked with the Sergeant Randolph about it, they weren't surprised at all. We couldn't imagine why they wouldn't give it to you based on your performance. So based on our performance, based on your performance, we're going to be here for 12 more months. Now, some of you may have sources that have told you differently, but I'm reading you the letter that we got from the federal government that they fully intend to extend this contract. There is no other rumors out there. There is no other language out there. There is no other letters out there. There is no other agreements out there. The 455th is not talking to anybody else. Corporate office has got the same piece of paper we have. In fact, this letter was addressed to our corporate office, and they sent it to me. Now, I will tell you that Harvey and I have been biting the end of our tongue off since the 25th of January, because that's when we first heard about it. We weren't going to share it with you until we got the letter. We wanted to be able to have the letter in our hand to be able to show this to you, but on the 25th of January we got the phone call that they were going to exercise their option. So now we have it in writing, so now we can plan, and now we can get on for another 15 months or whatever that is. So, all right, thanks. We have a lot of things to cover tonight, and I don't want to keep you here all night. We want to give you some time for questions. We're going to save any discussion regarding current or future employment agreements till the last thing, so we can get through the rest of this. I want to talk about driving and riding in our vans. I'm sure most of you know a couple of events that we had this past week. One was we buried another van where it shouldn't have been, and we got the tow truck stuck again trying to pull it out. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to order four-wheel drive vans because we'll just get twice as stuck. But let's not put those vans where they don't belong. The other thing I'll talk about is we had a van impounded this week. Now, the policy, base policy, is if you get picked up for a violation, the first offense, you lose the van for 10 days. Automatic, period. Second offense, you lose it for 30 days. The third offense, you don't ever see it again. If they pull your sticker, you're done. You don't have that again. If you go over to the impound lot, you'll see a very nice Cadillac Escalade sitting there, and it's going to be there forever because it's third violation. It's just sitting there. So what I want to ask you to do is to buckle your seat belts. That's what we lost the van for. And by the way, we got our van back in one day because they screwed up and gave it to us back in one day. Went to the pawn lot to pick it up, and the guy says, 10 days? Mr. Norton said, no, 1 day. I said, no, 10 days. Oh, I got my keys. So, I don't know how he got out of there with it, but he got out. But it was supposed to have been 10 days, and we got by with getting it in 1 day. So I don't know what he did, but we did get out of there with it in 1 day. So when you're driving, you stop at the stop signs, you watch the speed limit, you don't pass anything anywhere on base. We've had this discussion before. You can have a forklift in front of you at 2 miles an hour, folks. Don't pull out and pass it. They'll nail you. They'll absolutely nail you. Wasn't it you, Darren? Somebody passed a forklift that was partially off the road trying to make the turn and went around it, and the MP stopped them and gave them a warning. So they're very serious about it. And if I haven't told you before, the reason they're so doggone serious about it is they have way too many vehicles on base, and they want to get rid of the vehicles. The colonel every Monday morning tells us, a senior staff meeting, that they're still pulling stickers because that's how they're getting rid of the vehicles. That's why they give you a ticket for not wearing a seat belt when you're sitting in the back of the van, but you see people riding up and down the road in the back of a pickup truck. They pull you over and give you a ticket in the van because they can and because they can impound the vehicle. The bus doesn't even have seat belts. They don't bother you in the bus. But in the van, wear your seat belt. They want to reduce the number of vehicles. A couple other things that we need to get way more serious about than we have been, especially now that we know we're going to be here. That's name tags and uniforms. As I told most of you in a 6 o'clock meeting, Sergeant Randolph went out the other day to do his appraisal of us. And if you look through our contract, there's only a few things that he has to go out and check on. Obviously, we're performing because we have enough people out there. Obviously, we're meeting the ratio between us and the TCNs and the LNs. Obviously, we have the 4 vehicles. Obviously, we have enough people. So about all the guys got left to make sure we have uniforms and name tags and so on and not smoking, right? So he goes out there and the first guy he runs into standing on the flight line having a cigarette, and he asks him if he should do that. And he said, well, everybody else does it. The second group he ran into was 5 people. One of the 5 people had their name tag on, and I think he quit and came back because that's the only 2 things he told me about. So folks, we're being graded. Now, just because we got the extension don't mean we're not going to still be graded. As I've told you before, and I want to make sure you understand, no fault of most of you that are here, because most of you weren't here last summer. But prior to most of you coming here, we received 2 corrective action reports on this contract. 2. Though they were both for a number of things, but part of it was not having name tags, part of it was not having uniforms or wearing the uniforms when they came out. If we get one more corrective action report, one more in the next 15 months, the government can terminate the contract for cause. Okay? Not saying they will. I've been on jobs, we've got a dozen cars. I've been on jobs, we've gotten 1. And you're out. So please, folks, work with us. Wear the doggone uniform. If you have trouble like I do, remember to put your name tag on. take it on down and get it sewed on for $3 and you don't have to worry about it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. New badges. This is a stupid one. This badge right here. Every single person on the contract has to go get a new one. I don't know what happened. The colonel doesn't know what happened. We surmise that there's some forgeries out there, or there's too many of them out there, so they're going to start all over. Now, there are some things you need to bring along, and we'll get the word out when we start the badging effort. I got an email today about it. It will start pretty soon, and we will post what's needed when we go over there, and we'll have people designated to take people back and forth that know what you're supposed to have, make sure that we can get that done. Even the folks that have just come in country are going to have to get a new badge. The only difference is if you got here after the 1st of January, they can pull up your picture and you won't have to get another photo taken. If you came before the 1st of January, you have to get your photo taken again, because they don't archive it, just till the 1st of January.
Is it going to reflect the new contract date?
I didn't know the contract date was on there.
It's got a date on mine.
I think it's a year from when it's issued, isn't it? Something like that?
Oh, but the CAT cards reflect the contract date.
Yeah, we aren't talking about cat cards, we're talking about these little ones right here. Line badge, thank you. I want to talk a little bit about what I would consider progress we've made in country in trying to find work. As some of you have already met a gentleman, and now I'm going to forget his name, John, can't remember his name, big tall guy, heavy-set guy. He's with URS, and we got a job right across the street over here. It's only got one person, but he's working over here. I think it's a motor pool.
Gary.
Pardon?
Gary.
Gary Hansen, maybe? Gary. His first name's Gary, and you'll see him in here. He's going to hang out with us. But we've got one more person in country, and he's right across the street. We do have a few other folks, for you, especially for your new people that have just come in. We do have some more URS people out by one of the entry control points. They're finishing up their work now this month. We're trying to find a place for those guys. We've got 5 expats over there, trying to find a home for them. We got another contract up in Kandahar that's kicked off and running well. We also have had inquiries from other companies. Now let me tell you a success story, folks. There's a company that's doing work out at forward operating bases, and in their contract there's a clause that they need to provide force protection. The company's never done force protection, doesn't know how to do it, don't know what it is, so they went to the post commander over here and talking to one of the folks over there, and they said, you guys need to go talk to WGI. They do force protection. So I get the phone call, and they are interested in talking to us about possibly being a subcontractor to them and going out to forward operating bases and providing force protection. I can tell you I've got no idea if it will ever come to fruition, because it goes to the corporate office, they go through all the contract negotiations, all the fine print, and I don't know if we can respond quickly enough or if it's even anything that we're interested in. But what it says is when they go to the to the people that run this post, when they go over to the other side and talk to the post commander's people, and when he tells them go talk to WGI, that's a good thing. So we're hopeful that we're seeing the beginning of some additional work for us. And we're very hopeful that we're going to pick up more work within the country here before too long and give us some more opportunity. I want to talk about signing in the morning. You know, we're going through some changes now. Night shift is going to shut down. We thought they were going to be shut down tonight so they could make the meeting, but they had a last minute change. Night shift's going to shut down, come over to day shift. We're going to have a lot more people on day shift. We have to sign out in the morning, sign in the accountability up here. Every single day we got people that don't sign in. So what we're going to do is that after every morning, we're going to go and get a list of all the people that didn't sign in. Then roll call the next morning. We'll read off those names that didn't sign in the day before and remind you personally to please go over and sign in. We have to take it seriously, folks. Just like the uniforms and the badges, we're going to try to come up with a way to help you remember to put on your uniform in the morning. So, Monday, the 14th at 12:30 is the ribbon cutting for C-130. The commander, Colonel Howard, has invited anyone that wants to go to the ribbon cutting ceremony. And I'm sure there'd be a lot of you that'd like to go over there, and we'll make transportation available. By 12:30 on Monday, the 14th, is the ribbon cutting. Yeah. Champagne? Near Champagne. Another thing that's come up, I sure don't know everybody here. I would be hard pressed to go around and call every one of you by name. But I would hope that even if I don't know you, that if you have a situation, whether it be here on the job or be at home, be personal or whatever it might be, if there's anything we can do for you, I would hope that you come in and talk to us. Now, Harvey's the HR manager, but that doesn't mean he's the only one that can listen to your problems, folks. I'll be more than glad to sit down with any one of you and hear whatever it is you got that you want to get off your chest. I don't care if it's just a bitch session, you want to come in and complain, that's fine. If you got a problem at home and you need some help getting out of here, or you want to know what to do, come on in and talk to us, folks. Rather than send off an email to the corporate office, because they turn around and send it back to us, come on in and talk to us and see if we can help you out. We may not always have the answer, but we might know who we can get you to that has the answer for you. Now, with 110 people in country, there's rarely a day that goes by somebody doesn't have an issue. But if you don't come and talk to us, we can't help you. Now, I apologize for not spending more time with you folks, and I'm going to try to do that. But, don't hesitate to come talk to us, huh? The other thing is we have a number of new people in. We're going to have them in the newsletter that Phil's working on. So please, if you see them, say hi to them, welcome them here. Every one of us spent the first day here at one time or another. So, I want to talk about the bee huts. Every day we seem to have another mattress or another part of a bed laying outside somewhere. And let me tell you what's going to happen with that. At some point in time, when the government does their inventory, which could be tomorrow or next Sunday or whenever it happens, they're going to take an accountability, they're going to do an inventory, and they're going to send WGI bill for everything that's out of your room. For every mattress, for every spring, for every headboard, whatever it is that's gone, whether it was gone before you got there or not, they're going to send us a bill. And if they do bring over the additional people that they're talking about, and it's an if, and they do need to double up the bee huts, they just simply go get the mattresses, go get the bunks, put them all back together and move somebody in with you. It won't slow them down a bit. Not one bit. So if you don't have that stuff in your room, it's not going to keep somebody from double bunking, I can assure you that. Because they will just simply put the stuff back in there. But it is going to cost us some money to replace all that. That stuff is government furnished equipment, GFE. And government furnished equipment, they just simply tell us how much to write the check out for. And those mattresses probably cost the government about $2,000 a piece, so it will be expensive. I just have a couple things left here. One of the things that we're going to be really challenged with the next couple of months is keeping everybody busy. As you know, we are running out of work and running out of work fast. We have more work coming. On our meeting with the Colonel this morning, we discussed several projects coming up, but they're not tomorrow, they're not next week, and they probably won't be next month. I would say the next 2 months things are going to be really slow. So what we need from you is some help. We need some perseverance to put up with a lot of training that we're going to try to do. We need to put more of you out on the site than we probably have been. It's going to be a real scheduling challenge for us. But here's my greatest fear. We have typically on site 80 to 84 people. We have to maintain that number because of the R&Rs, because of the resignations, so we don't fall below the minimum that we're required to have here. If the colonel or the post commander decide to take a drive around and find out, or come by and talk to us and find out that we've got 80 people here and only 20 of them are busy, then you know what, guys? We just need to send a bunch of those folks home. We got too many people here. We don't want to do that, trust me. Now, having said that, we have a contract with the government that says we'll have a certain number of people here. But I've never seen that bother a colonel or a post commander too much before if he had to send people home. So we want to stay busy. We want to keep you guys busy. The other fear that I have is that they'll look at the number of people we have that aren't doing something, and they'll try to give us some more work to do that's not related to what we're doing now, that will be outside the scope of work of our contract. Then I get into a real big contract mess with the government that I don't want to get into. So the main thing we've got to do is keep busy. We got to keep you guys out there. We got to have you in training. We need your help to figure out what it is we can do. And we need a little perseverance on your part, because you're going to get bored as hell for the next couple of months. But help us put up with it and help us get through it. Last thing, before we go into the employment agreement. One of the things that we're doing to try to help with that numbers is we're bringing more and more people in here in the office. I've got site-specific safety plans I have to develop. I got emergency evacuation plans to develop. I got a number of different plans we need to get out. And we have a lot of administrative work to catch up on. We got a lot of make busy work that we can do here in the office. So we're going to rotate people in here and out like you're seeing us do already. Now, I want to tell you one thing. When it comes to the files in my office, there's a very limited, discrete number of people that ever have access to your own personal files. It's primarily myself, Stacy because of all the R&R, and obviously Harvey. We're pretty limited, and usually I'm in there or Stacy's in there, so we know if anybody needs some information in the file, passport information or something to book a flight, we can help with that. But we're not allowing all the people that come in out of the field and rotate in and out of here to have free access to your files. That doesn't happen. But we are going to ask more of you to come in and help us out. Essence has been in lately, and I got to give a hand to Essence. She's really picked up quickly on the scheduling, doing a great job with it. Ray's been helping us out. I've got Leonard helping me in the office in Tony's absence. I'm going to be going out in R&R pretty soon. So we're going to have, Harvey's going to help out, and Leonard's going to help out. The corporate high-level stuff that I do, I'll handle that when I'm R&R, so nobody has to bother with that. But just want to let you know that we're going to rotate more of you in and out of here. We're going to give more of you exposure to it. Billy's working on the safety stuff for us. So it's going to be some opportunity for you to learn. Employment agreement. I'm going to start it off and then I'll hand it over to Harvey. One thing I'd like to caution all of you on. We have a few of you that are, I don't know what the proper word is, but a few of you have legal backgrounds, at least you believe you do. And you have good friends at home that have legal backgrounds that can advise you. But I want to tell you one thing about your employment agreement. You all signed it, you all initialed it, but I want to tell you one thing about reading it. Typically in every contract that we do, federal, state, don't matter, private, whatever, or in every employment agreement that we typically issue, you'll generally find two sections. You'll find a section called General Terms and Conditions. If I was to issue a contract to build this building under General Terms and Conditions, it would probably say, build me a building that's 100 feet long and 50 feet wide. Well, when you got done building the building, you came to me to get your money, I'd say, whoops, you forgot something. Need to turn to page 2 and read the specific terms and conditions. That tells you to put in the office, put in the lights and all that stuff. If you look in your employment agreement, there's general terms and conditions. There's 11 general terms and conditions. In most of them, there's some different, I realize there's some different employment agreements out there. Most of them have about 11 general terms and conditions, and that's what they are. They're general. Most of them have somewhere around 35 or 36 specific terms and conditions. To put it another way, general terms and conditions could be looked at as being in your employment agreement, that this is general terms and conditions that you'll typically find for any work overseas. Specific to this job, you'll find specific terms and conditions. Those 35 or 36 or whatever it is in your agreement typically add definition, add clarity, or completely change what's under the general terms and conditions. So the only thing I want to tell you is when you read your current employment agreement or you read the next one coming out, make sure you realize that the specific terms and conditions override the general terms and conditions. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is some of you have come to me and so aptly pointed out exactly what it says in the general terms and conditions. So if I go back and look a couple pages later, specific terms and conditions are different, and that's what governs. So now I'll let Harvey have the floor.
Keep going. I'm gonna read this. Wow. First, let's talk about some proposed changes to the next employment agreement, and I emphasize proposed changes. We're trying to close a lot of the loopholes that were in this agreement with multiple amendments. There are generally 3 ways that a new employment agreement can be implemented. One, we can keep the same one we have and have an addendum added to it, and then you end up with the original employment agreement, addendum number 1, addendum number 2, addendum number 35. Not really the best way to handle it. So Morgan and I have sit down and pulled together a new employment agreement so that we don't have to go through the addendum piece. Probably the most controversial proposal that we've asked for is the changing in R&R. Right now, you currently go on R&R every 90 days. Well, we're going to propose a change for you to go on R&R every 120 days. Now I'll explain why. Every 90 days, by keeping the R&Rs at every 90 days, it does not allow enough people to be on the ground to let enough of you folks go. You have to maintain a certain number, as Morgan had shared earlier. By extending that to 120 days, it gives the opportunity for more people to go on R&R, and it makes it easier for us to manage the R&R process. A lot of people have been in contracts now here before. They either have 4 months or 6 months, and the 90-day R&R is just a recent addition by some of what I call the key players. So that's one of the proposals. Now how that's going to work is we start the next employment agreement. You're probably thinking, well, I haven't taken my second R&R. I still got 1 more to go. It will remain in progress. You take your first R&R at 90 days. Take the second R&R at 180 days. Well, once you complete that second R&R, then you go into the cycle of R&R every 120 days. Because we're going to honor the original agreement of 90 days and then 180 days. Everybody understanding me? Anybody got any questions around that so far? Good. Yes, sir.
It's 120 days from when you were eligible. Now, if you were late in taking it, it's not going to go 120 days from that date, is it?
I'm not understanding your question.
Yeah, I do.
You got it?
Yeah. The way that the current contract reads and the way we were proposing in the new employment agreement isn't any different. When you've been in country 120 days, you're eligible to take your first R&R. When you've been in country 240 days, you're eligible to take your second R&R. That's what we're proposing. That way you take an R&R at 4 months, take another R&R at 8 months, and then you're at the end of a year.
Then at the end of the year, end of the
This is the same thing we have right now.
same thing.
Just different.
Just different dates, just 30 days later, okay? We will have more conversations around that. I want to give you the highlights of it. And we will have more extensive conversations to ensure that there's understanding once we get it approved, or if we don't get it approved. The next thing that we're proposing, and it's still not solid, is that you cannot sell back an R&R. Okay. Therein lies my need for assistance from all of you. What do you think about not being able to sell back an R&R?
Why shouldn't you sell it back if you don't want to?
Rather do it.
Okay.
Like they have funds to take it over, you know, say we're going to leave, export back and forth, it's expensive.
Okay.
So I mean, that's what.
Okay. Now, I've been hearing some different opinions. I've asked folks individually, but that's something that's on the table. It's not necessarily the way it's going to work out, but I've been fielding questions and asking folks what they thought about that. And Levon has just shared with me, it's a monetary issue. That it gives, if you sell one back, it gives you some extra cash. Now, here's my concern about selling back leave. All right. After you've been in country a certain period of time, you may not know it, but sometimes it's time to go home. It's time to leave this environment. So if we go to 120 days and you sell that first one, or you don't take that first one,
8 months.
8 months. 8 months is an awful long time to spend in this environment. That's why I'm kind of going back and forth on that selling thing. My experiences teaches me that at the 6th month, even the most mentally tough person will start to crack. You'll start to see some cracks in the armor, okay? So that's why I'm kind of weighing, kind of back and forth on that.
So let me ask you then, so why change it? If you feel like the way you're feeling, why are you going to change it?
No, it's the sell back thing. It's the selling back. I believe that most people in here can go 120 days without taking an R&R. I'm not so sure that if you sell your first R&R back at 120 days, well, you sell the first R&R back, you don't get to leave theater for 8 months. That's what my concern is. My concern is the mental health of folk around here. We don't need anybody cracking up. Yes, sir.
But also you can consider keeping boots on the ground. You know, you had spoken in reference to not having enough personnel to man. That's also another outlet that you can use on another tool
Okay.
to be used to make sure you got enough people in here.
Like I said, we're open for discussions around that. I just wanted to give you, kind of let you know some of the things that we were considering around the next employment. It's not in stone, but I wanted to get a little bit of feedback from you. Yes, sir.
Even though you stated compromise, we didn't do the compromising. Like I'm saying, okay, if we don't sell it back, money, can we get a couple of days off here, or if we want to get some days off here, would it be like that?
No, I'm talking 8 straight months. No, other than your normal days off. Other than your normal days off.
Okay, keep in mind, if we change this so you can't sell back an R&R, well, the whole purpose of this is, and it was mentioned, We don't need you to do this to maintain our body count in country. I shouldn't use body count.
No. Vietnam, it's Vietnam.
We don't need this 120-day R&R to make our numbers work. We don't need to do that, because what's happening is we're slowly getting spread out here where it's not such a big problem for us to keep everybody in country. When we were in Iraq, we had a policy of every so many days you got an R&R. If you come in country, you could take an R&R in 90 days. When you came back, you had to stay in country another 90 days before you could take the next one. Okay, it wasn't this 90 and 180 and so on. The 90 days to get that first one, and you had to be back in country 90 days to get the second one. And what we did, and we made them mandatory, by the way. And when we did that, it dramatically reduced the problems we had on the job. It dramatically reduced the turnover we had on the job. We got a lot of folks were coming over and trying to stay 180 days. We had one guy that stayed 9 months, but not many people could do that. So we're looking at it just as a tool, like Harvey said. We're still thinking about it. We're using it just as a tool that we think will be helpful to the mental health and make the workplace a little easier.
So we can turn that 90 into a 120 if we so choose in our schedule.
Well, what we're saying is if we go to the new plan, the R&Rs will be at 4 months and 8
Even the
months.
old plan, you could actually push it out to 120.
Well, we've had people do that. We've had people that haven't been here, they've been here 5 months and haven't taken the first R&R yet. So.
Diego?
Is there gonna be any, if people, when their employment agreement does end, there gonna be any re-signing bonus or anything like that?
Okay, bonus schedule. The third proposal that we put forward is to change the bonus schedule. Right now, you get after 90 days, 30 days, you get $2,500. After 30 days, you get $2,500 bonus. And then after that, you don't see a bonus to the end of the employment agreement. What we propose is to space that out. 2,500 at 30 days, and with 6 months, another 2,500, end of it, another 2,500. So we're gonna spread it out so that you get that money a little bit faster. It's a retention bonus. It's designed to keep you here. You need $2,500 after 30 days, 6 months later, I got amnesia. Now, what have you done for me lately? So, we're gonna change, yes, sir.
We're hoping it'll do a couple things. Obviously, we hope it'll help retain people, and we had this discussion with the corporate office already, and I can tell you that they're looking very favorable on it. But the other thing that we're doing it for, we believe it's more fair. Some of you guys, for whatever reasons, personal reasons, issues at home, family reasons, can't quite make it to get that $7,500 bonus or whatever it is. And we don't think that's fair. You've been a good troop, you've been here a long time, you've been trying, you've been doing a good job, and you're a month away from getting it, and circumstances come up and you gotta go home. So this way, by spreading that bonus out over the year, I think you've earned it. And I think after 3 months you should get something, after 6 months you should get something. And if you can't make it here for 9 months, you're only gonna lose a little piece of it.
Were those bonuses going to be prorated just like these bonuses here?
Pardon me?
Are they going to be prorated under the new contract like they are in the national?
We haven't got that far.
Ain't got that far around proration.
You know, right now on May 12th or 11th, whatever it is, the bonus is earned to date will be given out.
They're gonna be taxed?
Yeah.
Unless you put in a 673.
It won't be taxed if you make that 330.
Make that 330, no taxes, or you put in
Yes,
at
ma'am.
673.
With the new contract, will it be a raise?
No.
Oh,
No.
oh.
No.
All right, that's a very fair question because I know an awful lot of talk has been going around about it. There is no provisions at all for us to give any of you a raise over the current dollar per hour that you're getting paid. Whatever your current dollar per hour is going to remain under the new contract. So. That will not change. Now, what might change? Let me give you a rumor. Not that you need any. Not that you need any. But I want to put a little optimism out here for you. If we get other work in country, especially if we get other force protection work in country, if that pays more, you get paid more. So let's just give you a scenario that we get, 15 forward operating bases out here that we got to supply 50 people to. Do I want to bring in 50 new people from the United States and put them out there when they're going to make, let's say, $10,000 more a month? Heck no. I'm going to pick the guys right here. Pick these people right here and send you out there to make more money, and the other folks come in here where you are. I'm just throwing that out there as a little optimism. That if we get more work in country, it might pay more than what you're making right now. I don't know that. But if we do, there's a possibility. But I can also tell you about a group of engineers, experienced graduate engineers, most of them are civil. I've got 5 of them that are still at the salary that some of you early folks first came over here with. Yeah. I'm talking about graduate engineers with a lot of experience making $40,000 all in. So, you aren't the lowest paid people in the country. You aren't the lowest paid people in this company, because I got 5 engineers making $40,000 a year. But I hope that any future work we get will pay as much or more than what we got right here.
But by that same token, on the FOBs, it's that much more dangerous.
How do you know? Hey, you been there? I've been to them. Depends on where you go.
Yep. Some are pretty quiet.
With the bonus, with the R&R, when did the 120 days start?
It will start after you completed your second R&R.
Okay. What that is, you still gonna run into the same problem. Because if you got like 80-something people, and you saying you can't take R&R to 120 days, you're still gonna be having a lot of people at 120 days. And you can't send them out, they take it 15 days on R&R.
All
right. Let me take on that one. I want to take it on for one reason.
Yeah, that.
Pardon?
I said you had that.
Don't get caught up in the numbers yet, because, for example, what we have to be careful of is if you've already taken your second R&R, let's say by May 1st, you've taken your second R&R, if we turn around and give you another one 120 days, you've already lost your 330 days out of country. So that's the other issue we've got to deal with. I would seriously encourage all of you who haven't taken your second R&R, now that you know we're going to be here for another year, if you haven't taken your second R&R, think about stretching that out. Don't take it at 180. Think about pushing that out there to 240 or somewhere out in the future, because you only get 2 R&Rs in a year. And you're not going to get 4 this year just because you sign a new contract that gives you one in 120 days. So we're going to work on those numbers. There's a lot of arithmetic, a lot of math we need to do concerning that to make it work out. Question?
So you mean like the new people, like we only get like 3 instead of 4?
3 instead of 4.
Like, cause like we still ain't took our further on like, so does that mean we still gonna be able to get out 2?
Yep. We will honor this first. This comes first, and then May, for those people that are signing new employment agreements, you're gonna get your 290-180, and then we'll go into your next one would be 120 days. From there, you follow me? Okay.
So that means we're gonna sign more paperwork in May?
Probably. We're hoping that by April 11th, all these things will be finalized. That's our goal.
April or May?
April 11th, 30 days before the end of the contract. We want the next employment agreement finished. So what's the date? 33 days, something like that? Yes, sir.
So when the new employment agreement starts, does that start a new employment agreement prior to what we've already been on? if you got here in November, you end in November 2012, is the new employment agreement going to supersede that? Is it going to be May 2011, May 2012?
That's one issue we're still trying to work out, as to whether or not it's going to be up and then move forward, or will it just roll over? Because there's some legal things that we have to get worked out around that.
Ultimately, I suspect that there are probably, especially some of the early employment agreements, I don't doubt that there's probably some of them we're going to have to work on a case-by-case basis. For example, I think if we have anybody here that got here real early, you're going to find out that in your employment agreement, there was actually what was called an agreement duration. It actually gave you the dates for the agreement duration, and some of those were from April to April. We didn't even have the contract in April. So I've got a handful of you out there that have an employment agreement that it specifically states. They took that away later, but it specifically states a duration of April to April. And we're going to have to deal with those probably on a case-by-case basis, because very soon your employment agreement is going to expire.
Yes, ma'am. No, yes, second.
So what if that comes up before the contract finishes?
Well, people got here early? Okay. We got to do those case by case as well. Yeah, we'll have to do it on a case by case basis. Yeah.
Another question is, so we're not going to do this rate. The $2,000 reimbursement for R&R, including our salary, but we're not earning that. We're paying back the money that we spend out of our pocket. So how is that included in our salary? We spent that, you're not doing any extra.
All right, a couple of things. The question is, if you didn't hear it, if you're counting the $2,000 as part of your salary, part of your wages, how are we going to cover that if we take it away from you? The $2,000 is meant to cover your airfare when you go on R&R. Okay, let me rephrase that. It's $2,000 towards the cost of the airfare on your R&R. So one of the things that we're kicking around is, okay, if we don't give you that $2,000, what can we do to encourage you to go on the R&R and not take any money out of your pocket? Because the $2,000, in some cases, some of you get money back after you've done your R&R. So,
Well, you can take R&R and sit in the big hut.
Pardon me?
You can take R&R and sit in your room if you want to.
That would be no.
Why not?
If you're going to take an R&R and sit in your bee hut, you are going home. Trust me.
Yeah, it's the empty space where you sleep.
No, you know, the one thing I know that's going to leave here tonight, and in fact, I'd like y'all to come back at next Monday night's meeting and tell me what we said tonight, because it'll be totally different. But I know this will start a lot of rumors and a lot of discussion, but like Harvey started out saying, everything we're talking about in the employment agreement is proposed. We didn't want to sit down and write an employment agreement and say, okay guys, here it is. We wanted to put it out here in front of you, and this isn't going to be the last discussion we have on it. But we wanted your ideas, we wanted your questions, we want your feedback. So everything we've told you tonight, it's all conditional.
I've got an idea. Instead of 120 and 240, why don't we do 90, 180, and 270?
That's 3 R&R.
Right.
Nah. even tougher to manage within a 365-day cycle. Nah, thanks.
Question?
You guys didn't answer the question though, with if that's included in your 60, the 2 grand. That 2
2,000
grand.
included in the
The one
total
that she just asked
compensation.
about, that's, you just
Nope.
kind of start laughing and it went in another direction.
So we can maintain.
I didn't get an answer from what she asked, I just, you
What?
guys started talking about other stuff.
No problem. We're gonna answer that. We're gonna answer that right now.
Go ahead.
2,000
What about it?
included in the totals?
No.
I didn't think so.
No. Well, the question,
But when I asked
It is
you,
not.
up is 48,000
count up what you're doing now, you don't make $60,000. So you said that reimbursement that we're getting from R&R should make $60,000. It still doesn't make
all right,
that.
we're gonna post again, because we had it up before, we're gonna post on the bulletin board, pardon? We're gonna post on the bulletin board the breakdown of how you get to 60,000, okay?
What I'm not understanding is tell us that reimbursement from that we spend out of our salary, you're paying us that, not earning extra, it's not something that we're making, spending. So it's zeroing out, you're not giving us.
You're not giving us anything.
So where's that 2,000 come up to make up the money that we're spending? Because you can't give us money back and say we're earning it and spend that.
I must be pretty good tonight.
Yeah.
That headache I got is really, okay. Time. All right, okay. Time in. That $2,000 is not part of your total compensation package. It does not roll into the breakdown that you have. That 2,000 is totally separate because it cannot be, you cannot have that as a form of your income. It's kind of like going on a business trip.
That's wrong. It is income.
It's included.
Well, it's
in
not,
income.
it shouldn't be included as income, as direct income, as part of your total compensation package. It's not included. It is considered as income and it is taxable. But it's not included as your total comp package for this particular project. It's money to travel, but it is taxable because it's paid. It just comes out of a different bucket and it's by a different name. Yeah.
Okay, so where's the other $5,000 from? Still has, even with the state $500 and the $4,000, that's not even $60,000.
We'll put the breakdown up on the board for you. If you didn't take, and I'm going to say this by memory without looking at the breakdown, but if you didn't, if you count the 2,000, and if you do in fact work 72 hours a week, and you will have $62,000 with the $2,000 R&R as income, But the $2,000 has never been counted to make the $60,000 if you work 72 hours a week. We have a question back here, Dave?
Yeah, back to the leave thing.
What did you say?
Vacation leave. In the specific part of the employee agreement, it stipulates under a paragraph that transportation will be provided to and from this location to debark point. According to, not our cost, 2,000 from debark point out. The only two debark points recognized by the Department of Defense and the FAA are Dubai and Kuwait City. Now specifically it says, transportation provided from duty location to debark point. Now this is something I can't quite figure out how all of a sudden the 2,000 that's supposed to be used for the 15-day leave from debark point suddenly counts from here, which is an air base.
All right, let me try to answer that one. You want to go for it?
All
right. First of all, the language under the special terms and conditions relative to paying your cost of transportation over here and back home is referenced to mobilization and demobilization. If we bring you over here, and the contract ends on the 11th of May 2012, and you're here, we're going to hand you that plane ticket and we're going to send you all the way back home to your point of origin. We pay the cost. Bring you over, send you back. If you, according to the special terms and conditions, if you quit, you resign, or you get terminated, you go home at your own cost. Now, I do know, having been through this before, that when we had employment agreements that did not address mobilization and demobilization, we got sued over it, and we had to pay for it. That's why in the employment agreements now that you signed and initialed on every page, you acknowledge the fact that you had to pay your own way home if you quit or you were terminated. So that's where the federal law comes in, that you acknowledge the fact that you were going to pay for it when you signed the employment agreement, because we had a number of employment agreements, and I tell you, there's companies in Afghanistan right now that leave, that don't even talk about it, don't even mention it, but they got to pay for it because the employee didn't sign off on the agreement that he had to pay for it himself. So
sir, is it rumored that certain amount of people that didn't get hired or did mobilization, they went home and the company paid for it, so is that just rumors?
what'd you say?
Okay, your question is that there have been some people who have left here prior to their resigning, termination. The only thing I can speak to is that since we were on the ground, Morgan got here 1st of November, I got here November 22nd. No one who has been terminated or resigned, we haven't paid for their ticket home. Whatever they're telling you, okay. But before then, I can't speak to that. I mean, I can't speak to that.
Yeah, let me put that another way, if I may. You may have been told by people that we bought, if they quit or were terminated, and probably the worst case for me is the folks that have come over here and lost their security clearance and had to go home. No fault of their own, but they lost their clearance, they got to pay the way home. What you might hear is that, no, URS bought my ticket. Yeah, we did. Because there's an awful lot of you that can't buy your ticket home. We bought your ticket and we take it out of the paycheck. Because you guys owe us at least, or we owe you, typically 2 weeks worth of pay, plus all your PLT that you've accumulated. So if you've been here for a few months, you got PLT accumulated, and you got a paycheck coming, and it costs $1,500 to get you home, we take the money out of that and send you the rest. That's how you end up paying for it. So yeah, truth of the matter is, we paid for people to go home. Sure we did. We'll pay for you to go home if you haven't got the money. But we'll get it out of the paycheck. So.
Yes, sir. Mr. Johnson.
So you can't sell back your leave, but if you have personal leave time, you'll pay that back.
If you have accumulated personal leave time when you leave here, you get paid for it.
Yeah. Okay, but you'll let that happen, but you won't let somebody sell. Well, you're proposing that you won't let somebody sell back.
Yeah, it's just proposed. Just proposed.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What about these different points of entry as far as people coming over here? A lot of guys, when I came over, we all came through Kuwait.
Mm-hmm.
Most of you guys came through Dubai.
Yeah.
A lot of us got tickets for Kuwait.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with that? What's that situation as far as, can y'all tell me something?
In terms of what?
I mean, as far as you leaving here, when you go through Kuwait to go home, or, I mean, are we going through Dubai? I mean, can somebody say something?
No. If you leave here, you're going through Dubai.
Now how was that?
You're going through Dubai. We're not going to send you through Middle Air to go back to Kuwait. And as I stated before, we would have the documentation to support that we can turn in. We can take your IBA and turn it in.
You got the documentation?
I got it right here.
Okay.
But I'm not going to spend the next. I can't finish this in 3 minutes.
That's by your choice, then.
Pardon?
That's by your choice, though, right? I mean, if you sign something out, you're responsible for that.
Right.
So if you choose to take it back because you signed that out, your company sent us to Kuwait to do that for that very reason, because that's why people got sent to Kuwait.
Right.
Now you're telling us that you're not gonna send us back to turn that in. I don't have it, but I'm just talking to the people that have it.
Yeah, I understand.
No, I'm say the same thing. But
Right now we're demobilizing out of Dubai, and as a means of taking care of the IBA, we're gonna pick the IBA right here. You're gonna sign a letter. We're gonna sign a letter, and we're gonna transport it back over.
We got this from the military in Kuwait.
Yeah, we got it from the people who actually run that over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't make this up. Yeah.
Do I understand that for those who choose not to enter into a new employment agreement, the company will pay for their demobilization according to the terms of the first employment?
What's number at?
The current employment agreement that you have is a 12-month agreement. Again, this is still up for debate with corporate office, but if you choose not to sign the new agreement, we can either honor the current agreement and you can stay here till the end of the 12 months of the current agreement, and we will demobilize you if you fulfill the current agreement. Or, if the decision is made, and Harvey and I are not going to make it, but if the decision is made that when you're offered the new employment agreement and you turn down the new employment agreement, then you have terminated your employment with the company and you'll pay for your own way home.
Ooh.
The employment agreement says that it ends on on May 11th, or May 10th, and the company is responsible for the cost of demobilization at that time. You can't stay here after May 10th without signing a new employment agreement because you don't have a contract with the company.
If your employment agreement is for 12 months, then have you fulfilled your 12-month employment agreement? If you look, and that's what I was talking earlier, under the general conditions, it talks about the date of May. Under the special terms and conditions, it tells you that it's a 12-month agreement.
But what if you end the contract? What if the company is ending the contract on a certain day, on a certain month? That means you ended it. We didn't end it.
Yeah, if we end our contract with the federal government, we will demobilize everybody on the day that our contract with the federal government ends. And right now, our contract with the federal government is going to be 11 May of 2012.
Okay, so basically, we would have, the people that's been there in the beginning, we would have fulfilled the contract if that day comes.
If you've been here for 12 months, yes.
No.
Now, the contract says that it ends on May 11th, and it cannot be extended without...
That's what the general terms and conditions say. The special terms and conditions tell you that you have a 12-month agreement with us, a 12-month work agreement.
Also, in a condition on the extension of period of the contract period is required by law, have certification on specific jobs that this company would offer those people should the contract not be picked up. Now, I may be one of these people who are dumb and talk to people and know laws, but my source is a federal judge in the state of Texas.
This lady was trying to say something here.
Okay, going in on the tickets and on the contract agreement. When we come over, you had a return trip ticket.
Right.
Going to Kuwait, if that's where you come through, and it was set for specific dates.
Yep.
If you're saying that you have to finish out the end of your personal contract agreement, which will extend past that May deadline, is the company going to pay the difference to get that ticket changed?
If you fulfill your agreement?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you fulfill your agreement, we demobilize you no matter what it costs.
Mr. Moore, are you saying that that if we have to sign a new employment agreement, well, this one is ended on May 11th. If we can't agree with the company on the extended terms, you can't force us to sign a contract that's different from the contract that we signed. If it's a year contract that we're obligated to, then that is the contract we're bound by. We're not obligated to enter into a contract.
Yeah, as it says in your current employment agreement.
There's nothing in there that says you must sign whatever the company proposes.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And if you choose not to sign it, you're welcome to go home. If you choose to sign it, please do and stay here with us. Huh?
After I go ahead, it looks like we'll go past 8 o'clock because we don't want to start this.
Cut her off.
Okay. Specific general terms and conditions and specifics. Morgan alluded to that earlier. Got the general terms. Under the general terms, you sign an employment agreement for 12 months. okay, for 12 months. The issue is, when we get to the end of this contract year, you collect your money, your bonus, you want to go home. You want to know if you get a ride to the house, right? Are we going to get a ride? Are we going to have to pay for the ride? Or does the company pay for the ride?
Company pays for the ride.
Okay.
No doubt about it.
Now go back to the general terms, 12-month employment agreement. It extends past May. Some of you came in June, July, August. That year goes past. It goes to the next year, 12 months from the time that you signed up, right? Okay, no, okay, I just need you to nod your head yes and say you understand that particular section right there. You understand that it goes for a year, right? It's in there. Now, here's the bone of contention. Real big bone of contention. Is that I want to go home May 11th. I've had enough fun. And from way I see this, I don't want another agreement. I don't want to sign another one. I had my fun. I'm ready to go. I want the company to pay for my ride home. Correct? Okay. All right. Therein lies the conflict that we have to have resolved at a higher level than Morgan and I. Okay? Well, we have to have someone else resolve that one. Because ideally, if you're ready to go and you've done your time, yeah, I want somebody to give me a ride. But in here it says, you do 12 months employment agreement. And after 12 months, you give me a ride.
Stay under that same employment agreement, or what happens if the two sides can't agree to a new employment agreement? What are you going to do? You're obligated for a year, but you got no contract. What are you going to do?
No, you don't have to sign another agreement.
So you just stay under the same contract that we're under now. What do you do?
When because we have an extension on this contract, and we get to the end of this, we're going to ask that everybody sign a new employment agreement to cover the next period.
Okay, so a new one. So that means the contract we know now is finished. The first one that we came over, as of May 11th or May 10th, whatever day you want to do, is done. It's over with.
Other than the recommended changes, it will continue. You follow what I'm saying? The three things I put out.
All right, hold on a minute. Hold on. Listen up, everybody. We're gonna cut this off, and we'll talk about it again next Monday night. But I want to leave you guys with one thing. We're trying to do a number of things. We're trying to come up with a new employment agreement that we believe will be better for you guys. The alternative is to do nothing. The alternative is to keep the current employment agreements as they are without making any improvements to them. Now, we believe we have an opportunity to make the employment agreement better than it is, especially thinking about getting that bonus at 3-month segments rather than waiting till the end. So, help us out here, guys. So we're trying to come up with a better agreement for you, something that will be better for you guys. It doesn't change anything Harvey and I do. The other thing, and we're going to close the shop, Harvey and I tell you what we know. We tell you what we know based on our experience. We tell you what we know based on the conversations we have with corporate. Harvey reports to a VP. I report to a vice president. We get a lot of feedback from them. We try to tell you what we know. We don't stand up here and lie to you guys. We try to tell you what we know and what we believe to be true, which means sometimes we're going to be wrong. We're going to get overridden by corporate, overridden by folks in legal or whatever, but Harvey and I have no reason to stand up here and tell you anything we don't believe in. We don't have any, we gain nothing. I gain nothing, Harvey gains nothing by trying to cheat you guys or tell you guys something that's not true. We gain nothing for it. So what we tell you we believe is the truth. Now let's close this up, and if you guys want to put stuff in writing to us, if you want to come see us individually, especially some of you that have unique employment agreements, I understand that. If not, we'll take off on this again next Monday night at 7 o'clock. Thank you guys for coming.
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate you.